So first question, James. You are obviously located in Las Vegas, about to corner one of your guys. How is the setup there and such?
It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty good. They have us in a bubble, right? Like we have pretty much our own little like it's a hotel, has a kitchen and stuff like that. They gave me a room here. I'm here 6 weeks back to back, so I have my own little room here. It's like my own little studio apartment that I'm living in. So it's not bad. I mean, it's not MGM Grand or anything like that or the Palms, but it gets it done, man. I don't, it's cool to be able to still watch these guys compete and work. So that's all that really matters.
I suppose that I didn't actually know that, but I suppose that's something, at least them giving you the same room, because it would feel there can sometimes be nothing worse than checking into hotel after hotel, can there? So at least you've got a little bit
Yeah,
of comfort.
they just did it for me. I mean, because I'm here 6 weeks back to back, so I get to leave my bag and stuff here. It's just a little bit more convenient. So, yeah, it's nice. They take care of me, man. The guys that have been around for a while, they take care of. It's a small little family. Obviously it's a multi-billion-dollar company, but the people that run the ins and outs of it and the operation side of things, the turnover is not very much. Like, they have the same people since I've been here, since 2013. There's a lot of the same faces here. So it's pretty cool. If you know the guys, they take care of you.
And what is all the traveling like for you? Because as you mentioned, you've got 6 weeks. I believe the last of your guys to fight on this run is Zach Cummings on the 15th of April.
So I have like a 1 week break in between him. So I have next I have Megan and Tim next week, and then I have Jason Witt, and then I have Grant Dawson, and then there's a small little, it's like 1 or 2 week break. And then I have Zach.
Okay, superb. Now let's get started, because as we've mentioned, I've spoke to a lot of the guys from your gym, Glory MMA and Fitness. Can I ask first and foremost, when did you open Glory?
So I want to say 2013.
2000. And talk to me about the process of getting the gym open in 2013 to now 8 years later with over a dozen guys in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just getting it. Obviously getting any business off the ground and getting it going is great. And technically, I didn't open it. I was hired as an employee. I was hired as an employee at the inception of another gym. I ended up purchasing it later, changing the name, and from a business standpoint and from a team standpoint, like, I took it. Obviously, it's to a different level now, but yeah, I mean, just the business side of things, the operational side of things, making a successful business to where I'm able to coach these guys day in, day out, and the business runs good is difficult enough. But, we've done a good job of that. And I think just building the fight team in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years has been, something that I'm extremely passionate about. And I put a lot of time into. I put a lot of time into these guys. I put a lot of care into these guys, and they return the favor. So I feel like we have a really good team, man. I feel like we have something special going. The culture that we have is unlike anything else that I've personally seen or been a part of. At least in a grand scheme. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, but yeah, I'm really happy with what we've made as a team.
Speaking to some of the guys, they've talked to me about, I believe it was Darek Minner. I don't want to quote him on this in totality, but he said something along the lines of, it has a big gym talent, but a small gym feel. Can I ask, how do you manage your time with all the plethora of guys that you have now got?
Yeah, I mean, structure. It's structured, like, I don't let these guys come and go. You don't get to show up on your time. Like, practice at 10, you better be there at fucking 9:50 warming up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play the bullshit games, like, and I don't allow it. I don't, if you don't fit the mold of our culture, I don't want you. I send you on your way. Like, it just doesn't, like, the culture that we have is extremely important to me. And I think I credit the culture to a lot of our success. So for me, I protect that very highly. And when people start to threaten that, I get very defensive about it quickly. And I think that's just because we've had success through that structure, right? So, like, why would you change that? And then these guys, they say, hey, I want to be in the UFC, I want to be this, and I say, okay, this is what is required to do that. And if you don't want to do that, then you're full of shit, right? Like if you don't want to commit to yourself, you're saying, hey, I want to be here. Okay, cool. This is what it takes to be here. But you're not willing to do the process along the way, then it doesn't fit. So I think just the structure and the culture are two big things. And I think that's why we're having some of the successes is because, I'm on these guys' ass. Like, it's a job. This is, Tom Brady doesn't forget his damn helmet to football practice. You know what I mean? Like these are important things. So we got to take this serious. We got to take this like a job. This is not some, fuck around time where you come in, you go through the motions. This is real work. And this is a game where if you're not ready, you'll get your ass whooped, and that's not, I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Like I don't like losing. I hate losing. So, it's important, man. The game we play is a very dangerous one. So it's important that these guys take it serious. They show up on time. They put actual work in, intentional work in. And it's a grind. It's not easy to do, and it's not for everybody, but it is what's required.
Yeah. I can see the passion coming out of you there now, James, and it reminds me a little bit of the quote that I sent you a couple of days ago from Grant, saying that he hates losing, but he doesn't know anyone who hates losing more than yourself. You can see that coming out there a little bit.
Yeah. I don't like to lose, and I'm okay with losing. Losing's a part of life. It's okay, but the problem is where I draw the line and where my team separates from the others, in my opinion, is I don't want to fucking lose with something that I have control of, right? Like if we lost because we weren't in shape, or if we lost because we didn't know something, or if we lost, like if the guy's a better fighter that day, that happens. Losing's a part of life. It's something you gotta deal with. But as a competitor, you're gonna lose. It's gonna happen. But we have control over the situations that we can control. So very rarely do my guys beat themselves. We're in shape, we're mentally tough, we're skilled, and if somebody bests us that day, that's it. It just happens. But I don't like losing, and I don't like losing anything. This has nothing to do with fighting. I don't like losing at fucking checkers. But it's just preparation. These guys are prepared. They're well prepared. And they've been through the ringer because we put them through the ringer, man. It's just, once again, it's what's required to be at this level, and this is what it is.
And obviously, we've got some up and comers. We've got obviously Grant Dawson, who is flying at the moment. We've got Jeff Molina, who I believe will hopefully make his UFC debut soon. But looking at some of your other guys, the likes of, just off the top of my head, Jason Witt, Kevin Kroom, and Derek Minner, the three of them have had good careers, but then perhaps moving to your gym, you've been able to get them to that next level into the UFC, and then, as we've seen with Derek last weekend, the results are showing.
Yeah. You just want me to like elaborate on why I think that is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's 5 things that I feel like that we as a gym focus on that are slightly different than other people. 2 of those things I think kind of separate themselves from others, and that's fight IQ and organizing your game. And I think that's something that I'm fairly good at. I think I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
And if you take somebody like Derek Minner, he's got all the skills in the world. Like obviously it's never been about his skill.
Yeah.
Right. But the dude comes out and he's for years he's tried to do 15 minutes worth of work into 5 minutes. Right. And he always feels like he needs to be doing something. And a lot of the times in MMA, especially even at a high level, we're so in goal oriented, right? Like we want to win, we want to finish, and that's, I'm with that. I do too. But sometimes it's the process and what's going through that is what really beats people mentally. So sometimes you have to, we just say, cook them up. You got to cook them up a little bit. You got to put them in the fire a little bit, get them well done. You don't eat a steak without cooking it. You got to flip it a little bit. You got to cook it. You got to put the spice on it. You got to do a bunch of little preparation before you have this beautiful dinner, right? It's not just there's not just a plate in front of you with a finished product and a steak and veggies. It doesn't work like that. You got to prep it. You got to marinate it. You got a bunch of stuff you got to do. And then you got to cook it up, and then you got sides, and you got all this thing that goes into it. And that's what makes this beautiful 5-course meal. And that's what we're doing. Sometimes these guys are just looking for that big steak, but man, you gotta You got to marinate it. You got to put it on the grill. You got to turn it. You got to watch it. You got to, throw some spice on it. You got to be a part of the process. You got to be in the process of doing it. And that's what a lot of these guys miss. So with somebody like Derek, it's like, hey, basically what we're saying is, hey, quit making stupid ass decisions and take your time, enjoy the process a little bit. The process is what beats people. That's what won us that fight last week. It wasn't, Derek wanted to jump off on that guillotine 40 times and I was screaming at him not to. So, but he listened, he trusts me, and he looked great, man. I'm super proud of that kid.
Yeah. And maybe just another example about what you're talking about that I think encapsulates what you're saying is Jason Witt's last fight. There is a moment in Jason Witt's last fight where I believe he is in guard and he tries to move to half guard, and because of Jason has carried him over to your corner, to the corner where you're situated, and you actually tell him to stay in his guard, and that's to a certain extent quite a bold move, isn't it, on your part? But it obviously worked out.
Yeah, I mean, what I seen in that fight is there was no get back up, right? The guy wasn't trying to get up. So like, what's the point of advancing? I mean, he's cut, he's hurt, he's tired. You're winning, you're swinging the hammer. Like, why we are winning in that spot? And it's very apparent. Like, if you're watching the movie, in the middle of the movie, it's very obvious what's happening towards the end. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so I just said, let's just stay right where we're at and let's just let this movie play out. Let's watch it, and it worked out good. It doesn't always work out good. I don't claim to be some genius or anything like that. But these guys trust in what we're doing. And I think that's the most important part. But when I see something like that, where a guy like Witt is just dominating, he's good on top. He's throwing these big elbows, these big punches, hurting this guy. What's the point? Why move on? You're dominating, you're winning. That's what we're trying to do. None of this bullshit matters. None of this fucking matters. Winning is the only thing that matters. That's it, right? Like, none of the other bullshit that comes along with this stuff, it matters. It's win. We got to win. There's no comments box. Fuck all that. It's winning. That's what matters.
And if we just talk about you for a second, you are 7-1 in your last 8 fights. I presume you will tell me you're 8-0.
Oh, I'm 7-1. I would like to tell you I'm 8-0, but I'm not. Unfortunately, my opinion doesn't mean jack shit when it comes to these records.
Well, that you've just proved what you've said in your previous answer, that winning is everything, isn't it? To a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, once again, there's no comments box, right? Like, nobody cares that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think I won the fight? Yeah, absolutely. I think I won that loss, but I didn't. So I'm 7-1 my last 8. It is what it is. Like, once again, losing is a part of life, man. I've lost a lot. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big deal to me. I'm not afraid to lose. You just go on. This is, in the grand scheme of things, this portion of our lives is a very minimal aspect of it. You know what I mean? It's a huge part of our life right now, but competing at a high level doesn't take very much of your life. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very minimal portion of the whole life. So sometimes you got to, like, back up a little bit and just see the big picture here. All that said, I mean, I've dedicated quite a bit of my life to this sport, to some degree, but we all go through different phases of that, and what that means to us, what that looks like to us, the severity of our training, fighting, all that stuff. So, yeah, man, I'm 7-1 in my last 8, and it is what it is.
What I was going to say from that is 7-1 in your last 8 and a split decision loss. How much of a benefit do you think it is for your guys having an active head coach, having someone who is fighting currently at a very high level?
I definitely think there are some, just like with anything, there's pros and cons, right? One of the things, like, people tell me, like, how are you still coaching if you're fighting? There's no way you can give the time to your guys. Well, ask my guys if they're getting time. Like, for sure they are. And I really, like, I understand with my career, like, my career is on the downslope. You know what I mean? Like, I've already done the majority of my work, and I'm not saying, like, I'm fading or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, the majority of my career is over. Right. Yeah. So I typically don't fight unless there's a lull somewhere in our schedule, or short notice, which is why I've been taking a bunch of short notice stuff lately. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I think there's the big pros of that would be one of the things that I'm able to do is like what we're training, I'm able to use it live, right? Like I'm able to like try this in the highest level of the sport against really good guys. And there's some things that, you know, as a coach, I always say this to my guys, like, listen, you can't see what I see because I'm on the outside in, right? Like I'm the general looking at this map, right?
Yeah.
But there's another perception, and that's the perception of the front line guy. Like, hey, motherfucker, like you're on a map here. You can't feel what I'm feeling, you know. So you can't see what I see, but I can't feel what they feel.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like we gotta work together. So one of the things for me is I get to see and feel, right? I get to do both because I'm on both sides of the fence. So I'm able to kind of like throw out all the bullshit that doesn't work necessarily. And I think that's a huge pro. One of the biggest benefits that I think for me actively still competing, that's the biggest one for me. You know, and I don't really fight a ton, you know, once or twice a year. So but I think that's a big, I'm able to see what is actually working in a fight, not in the gym, in a fight.
Yeah. Superb. Yeah. And when one of your guys gets booked, let's just say, for argument's sake, because he's been in the news quite recently, Julian Marquez. I don't know how banged up Julian is. It was a back and forth fight to a certain extent. But let's say Julian gets booked today for the 1st of June, and we've got a 12, 13-week period. Let's just surmise. What is your process as a head coach for getting one of your guys ready?
This goes back to the structure. There is no real process because they don't stop training.
Oh, like, okay.
Yeah, there's no camps. Like we do camps. I mean, the only thing that's different is the intention, right? Like these guys they don't get to take 2 months off. They don't come and go. That's not how it works at my place. Like you're in the gym, you're dedicating your life to your craft, right? Like if this is your job, you're telling me this is what I want to do for a living. Okay, cool. If I say, hey, I want to go be a IT tech somewhere doing computer shit, I don't get to not show up for 2 months. It doesn't fucking work like that. I got to go 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And that's what we do, right? Like you have to own your craft. And so, I mean, Julian's he's actually here right now with Kevin and I. And I mean, we're going to train tonight, you know? So we even get it in on the road and like, he's not going to stop training, you know? So there's no, the process is the same. If you asked what it was a month ago, it would be the same as what it is now. These guys training twice a day, typically, depending on, some of them have different schedules, but for the most part, you're looking at, I would say around 10 sessions a week, 10 to 12 a week, depending on who it is. Like with a couple of guys, Julian was one of them. I had to up that a little bit just to work on some skill building things because he had such a long time out. He wasn't able to kind of, you know, go with the curve. So we got to kind of catch him up a little bit, but he's done an incredible job. He owns it. He's willing to train hard. He puts the work in. And, but yeah, like these guys there's no off, you know, like you're on all offense all the time. And, I would say when we get a fight though, the intention changes, the intention changes. And we start to get specific about, hey, this is what we want to do. You know, this is put more of an emphasis on this.
There's also probably a little bit of ownership, if you like, because I know Jason Witt told me that his main training partner is in fact Julian Marquez. If Julian doesn't turn up and help Jason, then he'll be at a detriment. So your guys need to help each other out as well.
100%. And that's one of the things I love about this team is everybody's so willing to help. You know, they're helping each other on a regular basis, and it's really cool to see. I actually just talked to them about it. You know, they support each other through social media. They help each other in the gym. I mean, it's not uncommon to walk in our gym an hour before practice starts and you'll see like 6-7 sessions going on at once, and they're just getting together, helping each other unprompted. Like they don't have to do that. They just do it on their own.
Yeah, superb. Now, if we touched on every single fight that's booked with your guys, we would be here for hours, which is a good thing, I suppose.
Yeah. Really good.
Obviously, the marquee matchup of all your guys and girls is Megan Anderson's world title fight next week against Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a look at the odds, and it's Amanda Nunes is the biggest favorite she has ever been in her pro career. Can I ask firstly, why do you think that is? And secondly, why do you think Megan will upset the odds?
Well, the odds. I think the odds makers, their job is not to predict who's going to win. Their job is to manage risk.
Yeah.
Right. So they're just bumping the odds up to keep people away from betting Amanda. That's what their job is. As an odds maker, that's their job, is to manage risk. So they're just basically saying, hey, fuck you guys. We're going to make this so expensive that you're not going to bet on it.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. Now, in terms of the other hand, like how do I feel like where the odds compare to that? I mean, I think it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. I think Megan is, first of all, it's the first true featherweight that she's fought, and I do think that striking, Megan will be the most dangerous striker that she has fought. We know we have a tall order ahead of us. We know that, but there's really no pressure on our end. There's nothing, we don't have anything to lose, So, I just think, we've always been training for this fight. Even when Megan got signed, she got signed to fight Cyborg, which to me is the same fighter. They're the same, essentially the same fighter. So, we've pretty much been training for this fight for years. So we've been in the camp. She looks great. I mean, she has the tools. She's putting everything together better than she ever has. Once again, we have a tall order ahead of us. Amanda's not the greatest female fighter of all time for no reason. But all that being said, man, if you watch these fights every fucking weekend, there's somebody that always upsets somebody. Always. And it's always impossible until it's not. You see it all the time. Look at somebody like Renan Barao, came in and was 21 fight win streak, just smoking everybody, and then he gets beat one time and then goes on like an 8 fight losing streak or something like that. It's like it's always impossible until it's not, and yeah, I mean, that's all I can say. Once again, like I think we've shown that the odds don't mean shit to us. You know what I mean? Like Derek was a plus 200 or 280 or so. I don't know what he was. It was something ridiculous. Like the odds don't mean anything to me. They don't mean anything to my fighters. Once again, the odds are about who's predicting to win the fight. It's about managing risk, and that's their job. Let them do their job. Our job is to fight, and our job is to win, and that's what we're coming to do.
Now, superb. Now, I know you are busy, so I will just finish with this one final question. Let's just turn the narrative of what we're talking about a little bit back to yourself. You are still an active fighter, as we mentioned, 7 wins out of your last 8.
Yep.
What type of fights do you want in the future? I know you had the back and forth with Diego Sanchez. What are you looking to accomplish in the rest of your career, if you like?
I mean, I could quit today and be happy with what I've done. But this is an unpopular opinion, I feel like, but I really don't care about rankings or titles or anything like that. Like I want to fight some of the legends. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've mentioned this guy's name a couple of times, and this is no disrespect, and I'm not even saying I want to fight him, but I'm saying somebody like him, like Carlos Condit, Diego Sanchez, Cerrone is in there. Dan Hardy's wanting to come back. Like these guys that just been around that I've had a lot of respect for. And there's no shade or anything like that. These guys have a lot of. I grew up watching these guys, so it would be really cool to compete against, one of them at some point. And once again, I'm not saying those. I know I specifically said those names, but those are just the ones that are coming to mind. Somebody like that, that's been around the block and is a legend in the sport. That's something that would intrigue me.
Yeah. Super. Well, you are a legend in your own right, James, to be quite
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I just wanted to finish by saying it was great to talk to you. I very much appreciate your time. I've always found you a very knowledgeable and a very astute mind in the game, so it was great to get some insight from you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Before we finish, I would just like to return the favour. You done a live stream a couple of days ago with a friend of mine for the Win MMA, and he shouted me out, and I would just like to shout him out. It's a great page. And as he said to me, I wish him all the success.
Definitely.
Superb. James, before we finish, how can people find both yourself and the gym on social media?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the same, same stuff everybody's on. Mine is like / the James Krause on, I think, everything. So if you find me, you'll find the gym.
Superb. And before we finish, is there anything you would like to say or sign off with at all?
Nah, man, appreciate you having me on. It's long time coming, so I appreciate you taking the time to bring me on.
Likewise, James. Thanks for your time today. And
Yep.
best of luck for Kevin and the schedule of guys coming up.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.